Hi everyone, this is Victoria from We Are the Music Makers, and today we're talking about some of my favorite ways to teach So and Me. When we prepare So and Me, we're asking students to interact with this melodic interval before they know the actual name of it. And this is because we're not trying to get students just to simply memorize the sound of So and Me, because they can do that really easily. Instead, we're asking students to be able to improvise and compose and sing it and play it and use it in a lot of different ways. So here are some of my favorite ways to prepare So and Me. The first way I like to prepare So and Me is kinesthetically through games. And this is not a surprise to you because as music teachers, we use games to start pretty much everything. If you're not familiar with the game To Apple Tree, I have a video where I explain how I use it in my classroom. There's a really specific sequence of this game that I like to use to prepare So and Me. The first several times we play the game, students just play it completely as normal. And then after a while we play the game, I'll stop and I will say, hey, did you guys notice that apple, tree use high and low? And I'll ask students to discover high and low in the words apple, tree. And they'll discover that apple is high and tree is low. So that's the second step of this game. The third step is to ask students to put their hands on their head for high and their hands on their shoulders for low. And we'll play the game going apple tree, apple tree. Now really quickly, I know these are not the Kirwan hand signs for So and Me, but I find that this is kind of arbitrary for students, whereas if you put your hands literally on something physically high and your hands literally on something physically low, that makes more of a difference, and it's more of what I want them to understand from this activity. So I can add the Kirwan hand signs later, but for right now, visually and kinesthetically understanding high and low is more important to me. The last thing I'll do in this preparation stage is ask students to sing high, high, low instead of apple tree while they use their hand signs and while we play the game. So there's a really intentional sequence with this game, step by step, for preparing So and Me. The second way I want to prepare So and Me is by having students improvise a melody to a known rhyme. The minor third interval is so natural in a child's world that they can do this very easily. So choose a song that your students know really well, maybe one from a previous grade. In my classroom, we use Bee Bee Bumblebee, but another really common one is Engine Engine Number 9. Now I was kind of nervous to try this activity at first. I thought for some reason that students wouldn't know what I was asking them to do when I asked them to improvise a melody to a known rhyme. But what I found was if I just said, now try it with your singing voice, they will automatically just use high, low, bee, bee, bumblebee, or engine, engine number 9. And you don't have to coach them on this at all, again, because So and Me is such a natural interval in the child's world. Now, a really quick teaching tip for this. Students will probably add law to this, and they might not even realize that they're doing it. So if I hear a student add law, I try to correct it the first time I hear it because I need them to understand the difference between high and low and high and higher and low. So the third way I like to prepare So and Me is by having students write down the melody to the rhyme they just improvised. After students have created their melody, I like to ask them to write it down. And I do this as a whole class first, and then I break off into small groups and students use a worksheet that I've created for this purpose. In the preparation stage, I don't ask students to write down the whole rhyme, the whole 4 bars of their rhyme, because I think that that's a little much. For this activity, I just have them do the first 2 bars, and I find that that's enough for this stage. I will link the printable that I use down below so that you can grab it and use it in your music classroom as well. Young musicians are capable of so much. They can sing, they can play, they can improvise, they can compose, they can create melodies easily and musically. These are some of my favorite ways to prepare this melodic interval that is going to lead to so many more musical discoveries.